It is now time for our startup panel. I'd like to have on stage Wienke Gieseman, Dominik Schiener, Daniel Gasteiger, Jeroen van Mechelen, and Björn Wagner. Please, gentlemen.
Hey. Hey.
There we are, and
hello.
Here you are, and there you are. Okay. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hi.
Catchbox. Who likes the catchbox? Who wants to keep it for me? You?
Hi.
Thanks.
Hey. How are you?
Wienke Gieseman.
Hi.
The Things Network. Creating a free and open Internet of Things network. About to launch 10 satellites, right?
So that's a future plan. But we have found out that you can do IoT connectivity from space. So that's on the roadmap.
Explain.
So what we do is we are building a global distributed Internet of Things data network. So imagine how mobile operators are building telcos right now. They are setting up large base stations across the country, doing a huge investment. What we do is we say, why don't we just let everybody place the base stations, connect the base stations together, and let them work as one big network, so we don't need the carrier anymore.
And then?
Then you can build all kinds of use cases on top of it. So for instance, the city of Amsterdam wants to know how full the underground garbage containers is. Maybe you want to know when your basement is underwater. We have, at the moment, smart mouse traps on our network. Right in the Netherlands, if you have mouse traps...
Like the animal?
Like the animal.
Really?
So in the Netherlands, if you place mouse traps, by law, you need to check the mouse traps every 4 weeks. If you can make the mouse trap send a little message to your facility management, you only have to send your people to the mouse trap that actually have mice. Wow. So the value ecosystem there is in the applications, and the infrastructure should be a connectivity commodity that's owned by everybody.
Wow, and why free and open? Why owned by everybody?
What you see now happening also when you have highly centralized organizations like telcos is that they lose the objective. They lose the objective why they started. Right? The internet was started to make sure that we are all connected and can share a lot of information. What you now see happening across the world is that these centralized internet organizations are optimizing for themselves. So they are not optimizing for the reason why they were created, and they were optimizing for themselves. You see breaking net neutrality, all kinds of deregulation on that area. So building an Internet of Things that is in the core distributed, and it's by the core a common commodity, we feel that it's a good start.
So where do you make your money?
So the value in the system is that people make money out of these efficiency gain, for instance, from the mousetrap. But people also put resources into the system because they have to place all these base stations. So there is an economy there. So that we're working on making that a self-sustaining system for now. We're partnering with funds like SADN, but we're doing also some business ourselves from a company which is then funding this foundation.
You are already making money.
Sorry, we're breaking even because everything we earn, we invest back into the network. Wow. But yeah, there's already money flowing in this economy. For instance, we did a Kickstarter campaign to crowdsource these base stations, and we're already crowdsourced for about 500,000 of these devices. And,
and when are you ready?
When we're ready?
When is it all in place? When are you completely ready with your bringing your plan to reality?
So when? So I don't know. It's like currently it's just about the journey, and if you have a big vision, that's really hard questions. But let's say in 5 years.
Dominik, nice story, right?
Right. Cool.
How are you doing? IOTA, we checked this morning, 1.2 billion euros. IOTA.
It's a cryptocurrency, right? Insane valuations.
Yes. And fast. from 0 to this in how many
I
times?
think in a little over 2 years, yeah. If you work your ass off, it works out.
1.2 billion. Okay. Okay. This is also Internet of Things idea. The backbone. You call yourself IOTA the backbone of the IoT.
Exactly.
Explain.
Yeah, so our big vision for the Internet of Things is really that you have these autonomous economic agents. So a machine has its own wallet. And the beauty of the system is now machines can start transacting with each other. And one machine that has an excess resource like computation, storage, bandwidth, or whatever, is able to sell this to another machine. And through that, you get this machine economy. And IOTA, because it's like one of the only distributed ledger protocols that can run in this Internet of Things environment, is really the backbone for this transactional settlement. And we also go beyond just value transfers between machines. We also want to like be the security of things layer for the Internet of Things.
And why do you do what you do?
To not get bored, I think.
Okay.
No, so really, I have to joke. I have to stop joking. No, but so really, our big vision is to build a standard. And like if you have a standard, we make it possible for one machine, like whether it's a car, it's a toll station, parking station, or whatever, to pay each other. And I think the bigger question is like, why didn't we do a startup? Like, why didn't we patent what we did?
Yeah.
And like I said, truly important for us is this interoperability. Because if you don't have one backbone, if you don't have one settlement protocol between those machines, you have this communication issue. Like you don't know if this machine can pay the other machine because they use different tokens. And we see IOTA really as this interoperability layer. And like only by making it free to use, by making it open source and have a non-profit foundation like maintain and further develop the protocol, we can make sure that governments and actual corporates start adopting it.
Okay, and does it work?
Yeah.
Already?
You can try it out.
It works?
Yeah.
And where are you going?
Right now,
where are you? Yes?
So right now we've enabled some I think nearly $10 billion to be transacted with IOTA, peer-to-peer, without any financial institution, without any transaction fees. Yeah, it works.
What? Okay, please bring it down to earth. Give me an example of what it does.
Yeah, so basically what it does, it makes it possible for us. You have your own wallet, you don't have a bank account, you don't have someone else holding your money, you own your money, you own your tokens. And what we enable is this transactional settlement, so that I can pay directly you, and you can pay someone else.
A machine?
Exactly.
What machine?
Any machine you want. Like you can pay your coffee machine per like coffee tab that you're inputting, stuff like that. So really like these economic transactions.
So are you competitors?
No, like we actually talked in 2015, I think.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
So why didn't you work together then?
So we have a distributed network, and we have all kinds of things, and there's a value exchange, as I said, like somebody's making money, somebody's investing in the network. So having a transaction system there is a tool in the blockchain toolbox that it could be interesting. So we're looking into several technologies.
You're still talking?
Still talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the main interest. Sorry.
And how much of this 1.2 billion is yours?
100%. No, I'm just joking. So
my question is, are you making money with IOTA?
No, so we're not making any money. So basically what we did in 2015 in order to develop this protocol, we did a software sale. So we said to the community like, hey, if you want to participate in this system, you have to donate money, you have to buy into it. And so we raised like $500,000 with that, and with those $500,000 we then like built what we have today. And it was always like, fucking, I can swear, right? Yeah. It was difficult. But you just go through with it because you like truly believe in it and like you're driven, and yeah, that's how it came to be.
Daniel, founder of Procivis, you work with the Swiss government.
Yep.
On what exactly?
Well, our mission is to develop e-government as a service. So we want to actually build, and I can refer directly to Kaspar, my friend here, what Estonia has done over the last 20 years in Switzerland for the next 20 years. So we're building a platform that is ultimately smartphone-based. So you have an app basically on your smartphone that enables you to participate with government services, starting with identifying yourself, registering your residency, but also ultimately end up with e-voting. That's my big ambition, is that we build a system that enables e-voting in a secure fashion.
And where are you now in this process?
We have developed the first version of our app that is now being tested starting December with the state of Schaffhausen in Switzerland. So it's a small state of one of 26. They will roll this out. Our strong belief is that we need government-backed identities, so we cannot just do this in a privatized fashion. So we work together with governments, and in this case, the state of Schaffhausen. They will roll it out to a pilot group of users in the state. We will use it as a means to log into the citizen portal, for instance. They can subscribe to services, they can change their addresses. We work with the casino to basically enable the identity to be used as an authentication mechanism when you want to go to the casino. And that's where we are. And now with this, just this week, just on Tuesday, we announced a research project with the University of Zurich to do smart contract-based e-voting. That's the next step.
So what election will be e-voted?
In Switzerland, obviously, we have this direct democracy system, so we vote 4 times a year on referendums and so forth. So that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to kind of enable that process to be.
When?
When? Oh,
when are you ready?
That's a good question. It's not going to be this year or next year, that's for sure. No, we are at the very beginning from a research perspective. I don't believe we can forecast any time for this. Probably 2-3 years, I would say.
Björn, you worked with the World Food Programme, right? Parity is your company.
Robert said so, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
And you did.
Yes.
You worked closely together with Gavin Wood, who unfortunately could not be here today, but we're glad you're here. What have you done for the World Food Programme?
So we have
everything.
No. We helped them leverage this blockchain technology to actually facilitate that, what they wanted to build, namely to disintermediate these local banks to enable them to,
Technology behind the plan is yours.
Yeah, wait, hold on. So Parity, what Parity really is, right? We are an innovation and infrastructure-focused company that builds platforms and applications. And we could be called some kind of like the Phoenix company from the Ethereum project. So, and like the vision we are really following is a vision for a Web3, a new web that facilitates a set of interrelated peer-to-peer technologies that we all work on, kind of, that together can enable you to build these decentralized applications and systems that are capable of comprehensively resisting attack. And this is really the key of what we do.
Okay, so this is your big plan. When are you there?
2 years.
2 years.
Or like usually we say in 2 weeks from now, but
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now, no. But it's an ongoing process. I mean, they're quite as you can tell with the UN World Food Programme, they have a up and running system, right? It doesn't fulfill the great vision we have, right, of a public network where where you have like kind of an innovation and a bet where you can supercharge innovation because you literally have no entry barriers for services and everything is interoperable by design. So like all these applications that are being built or use cases, they can cooperate. And that really supercharges innovation in the end. And that's what we're looking for.
Wow. Jeroen, Leopard Ledger. You work with National Healthcare Institute in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
What did you make for them?
We created an app where the users can actually share the data of patients, not like an electronic patient dossier, but where you can say, okay, somebody from the healthcare institution came by. You get a message like, did he or she work for 6 or 7 hours? And you say yes or no. And then the process of the payment and the invoicing goes automatically. And we did it together with the healthcare institution. But not only did we do a technical implementation, but we also checked it by law together with the land lawyer. And they certified us by doing that. So that's very interesting. And besides that, we are a platform that creates APIs for developers. Because what we see is that it's very hard to create a blockchain architecture from scratch. And that's what we actually provide. So we provide APIs for developers, and on the other hand, we build apps like for the healthcare institution.
And the healthcare app you developed, where is it going? Is it going to be used nationwide? Is this your great breakthrough?
It's my great breakthrough. No, but we're now testing it in practice, so that will be a first very small step to show that blockchain can actually make a difference. And we are pretty sure that after that we can roll it out, but it's made in a very generic way, where we can use the functions that we've created for all kinds of other applications.
Healthcare is huge.
Yeah.
What's next?
Like I said, we have a platform for developers who can use the APIs.
Everything.
So everything can be done, and besides that, we create different applications.
I announce you all as startups. Would you say you are startups?
Yes.
Still startups, yeah? No. No.
No.
Why not?
We're a non-profit. I mean, we deliberately chose not the startup way because we have funding, we have a large enough team, we have like a large enough corporate network. And so like you do kind of feel, it does feel like a startup, but we run a non-profit.
What does it feel like then? Non-profit organization?
Yeah, like as a startup, you have to chase investors, you have to chase customers, and like we have a different set of problems to solve. And so, I mean, you have to define startup, right?
Do you recognize that, Daniel?
No, I'm definitely a startup. I'm not the typical startup.
Chasing investors.
Probably chasing clients and investors. And governments are not the easiest clients to win over, but that's a good challenge to have. I'm a banker by origin, so I was working in banking for more than 20 years. And so I gave up the job with the vision to basically embrace this topic of blockchain and bring it to the banks and bring it to, in this case now, governments. And yeah.
And are you able to get your money out of the investors, out of the market?
Not at the moment, no.
No?
No, it's too...
So how do you pay for what you're doing?
Well, I have some investors.
You are paying.
Yes, I have my own money and some investors.
So what is holding them back?
I mean, what we are doing is a big challenge. I mean, as I said, winning governments over as a startup is a huge task, and so we will have to build credibility by going step by step and building out our solution.
But where's the Swiss government?
Nowhere, that's the problem. Switzerland is... When I came back from Estonia for the first time I was there, I've seen what is possible when it comes to digital society, and I came back to Switzerland and I realized we are nowhere, and then I read the European report where Switzerland ranks 30th of 34 countries when it comes to e-government. I was embarrassed. That's when I decided now we need to do something, and there's a big opportunity at hand.
So why is it so hard to convince your government that what you do is the future?
It's the lack of understanding when it comes to technology. That's a big problem in Switzerland. I'm really impressed by this room of people here, because in Switzerland, on a national level, there's no such thing as a real digital strategy. And it's a waste of money that we have basically seen happening over the last 20 years when it comes. We compared Estonia and Switzerland in a report from the University of Lucerne, and for 20 years, people invested a lot of money, and Switzerland, fortunately, unfortunately, is very rich, and there's not much pressure to change things. So we try to do things. We try to do e-voting, for instance, since 15 years. It doesn't go anywhere. We try to do a Swiss identity solution for the government, for the Swiss people. Wasted 25 million euros on that, and it goes nowhere because it's a lack of understanding.
Yeah. How are you working with government, Jeroen?
In a very nice way.
Yes.
No, we have some paid jobs. So besides, we're not a startup anymore, because I've been working for like 8 years on identifier development, which is pretty similar to...
So what is the main thing government brings you?
In this case, they gave me an environment to work in, a very good environment, enthusiastic people around me, and they taught me that implementing technology is more than only the technology. There's a lot of stuff behind it, like laws, etc. That's really, really good.
Could he learn something from the way you operated?
Obviously, yeah, I think so.
Like what?
What
do you do to get involvement?
Like the learning from the communication with the government, like we do, and probably as government.
Give him a tip, advice.
An advice is work hard, communicate a lot, and be open.
He does that all the time, I'm sure.
Be open for any advice and speak to the right people, because there are in all countries many people who can bring you further.
I have to say, I mean, it's not as bad as I portrayed it. It was at the beginning. Now we are also talking a lot on every level in Switzerland on the topic of e-government.
You're back in the game now.
Yeah.
Okay, where's Sketchbox? You have it. You have a question for these 5 wonderful guys. Question, remark, thoughts? Anybody? Just ask him. He has the Catchbox. Just raise your hand. You keep looking for me. Yes. Is there Somebody? Somebody? No? You keep an eye on the audience, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks. Think about government involvement, government as a customer, launching customer maybe. What do you think?
So, the city of Amsterdam has a CTO called Gerberon. And when we launched our first network in Amsterdam, covering the entire city, we had a coffee, and he told me, I'm so happy you didn't involve me in this, and you just did this with the citizens and the businesses, because we might have complicated it. So I think that was a huge compliment. Also shows like the vision that Amsterdam has. So
do it yourself, build it,
show it,
think it, show it, do it, and then.
And then there's no way around it, right?
Okay.
So so when you show it that it works and you execute in an entrepreneurial way, then I think that's the way forward. And then what they really can give is, and the value they can bring is that they have the problems, right? And we're all in this room. We're all so tech push driven, and actually we're the kind of people that just throw randomly tech at it until it sticks. And the other way around is there's the real problem. And for us, the problem is the gold, right? And for them, we are the gold, right?
Okay.
So, focusing on governments and just really value them in the sense that they really know what the problem is, and we're just randomly making new tech.
Okay, that's interesting. Dominik?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this theory of Wienke?
Which theory?
Oh, you were not here with it. You weren't here with us.
Just thinking.
Is there? He explained. You really didn't listen, didn't you?
I was just like thinking of something else.
What were you thinking about?
Not just like IOTA stuff.
What were you thinking about IOTA?
It's just like adoption and governments and like kind of trying to figure out to answer your question to some degree.
Well, share your thoughts.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Share your thoughts with us.
So in my opinion, when it comes to governments, they're like really crucial for the adoption, especially for these technologies, because at the end of the day, like corporates are really behind it as well, but you need to have the government support. And I always say like Berlin has the ecosystem, like I think both of us live there, and we have the startups and like the brains in Berlin. But you don't have this like whole ecosystem where the government is involved and actually supports you to do like proof of concepts. I think it was like thinking in that area, like that is really crucial for the adoption, because at the end of the day, like corporates get convinced of it. They do a case study internally, like, hey, we are going to earn this and that much money, save this and that much money. But like you also have to like convince the population, right? And also government support. And I think that's one of the main key drivers for the adoption, which is why I'm here.
And what else do you need? What else do you need? If you have a great idea and you want to put that in motion, what do you do? What do you need?
I guess I would like to correct another thing about Switzerland. Is not good when it comes to the technology at all when it comes to the national level, but what is very good in Switzerland is regulation, for instance, especially when it comes to regulation for blockchain and cryptocurrency technology things. And I would like to really make that point very strongly, that also regulation is a big enabler if you have...
But what is good about it?
Basically, the people are a little bit hands-off when it comes to new technologies, and they let people experiment, and they let people grow. I mean, at the moment, we have this hype of ICOs, and in Switzerland, and especially what is called Crypto Valley, which is basically the epicenter, probably in the world at the moment when it comes to cryptocurrency startups. They let them do and they let them experiment with knowing actively that there's a risk involved. Obviously, there's a bubble. There's eventually going to be some deflation of the situation, but it's actually happening, and they let it happen. And so the creativity comes through the startups in that sense.
Okay, so regulations, that's what you need.
Yes.
You need modern regulations. How is that in the Netherlands?
I think the ecosystem in the Netherlands is amazing. If you see how much discount you can get on doing innovation, what funds are available, I think it's really great. I'm a startup entrepreneur for 5 years. When I started my previous company 5 years ago, what is happening with the Startup Fest this week, yesterday at Capital Fest in Amsterdam, you cannot compare it. It's being stimulated. What Prince Constantijn is doing is amazing. And I think we've made a huge leap between 5 years ago and now.
What more do we need? What more do we need? Is there anything we need?
So what I think in the Netherlands is education,
Education.
on tech and education on experiments instead of being educated to be compliant. So I think these are two things that are structurally need to be changed in higher education.
Interesting. How?
So I think what happened in the Netherlands after a few crises at the hogeschool is that they even became more, there were more regulations to check if they were good. And I think that needs to be removed and have more entrepreneurial way of educating.
How?
Yeah, that's not my
Björn, do you recognize this?
Yeah, absolutely. So especially what he's saying, that there's a huge disconnect between like these people that make compliance policies and those that understand tech. I mean, you can see it currently, for example, with what is being proposed in the UK for banning encryption or stuff like that, or even we have been confronted in one of our enterprise initiatives with a problem that's not a problem from a tech side at all, but the compliance department said it has to work that way, even though it makes no sense at all. And just a brief background, it's about encrypting data and where the data can be stored. But like in the internet kind of sense, there's no difference if I store data with him or if I transact data from me to you and it passes him temporarily, because he could store it long term. But for the compliance department, that made a huge difference. And that really complicates your job as someone who's trying to build sensible systems. So I think this disconnect, there's a huge disconnect that has to be eliminated, and like education is really important on that sense.
But how? Be more precise, please.
Well, it's a very difficult thing, but well, one thing is listening to experts, I think, in the first place. Not
listening
trying
to you.
Not necessarily.
And you, yeah.
I mean, I would be very happy if
once in a while.
Once in a while, right? Or have like just actually engage these people that have been in the space for a long time, or that have been working with these technologies for a long time, and ask them before like regulating something, before coming up with compliance policies. I think that's very that's very, very, very dangerous in terms of stopping innovation, right? So.
Dominik, you have any examples of this problem?
I just want to like make another point. I think one of the main things that's really missing in this startup, and especially in this blockchain environment, is this kind of co-learning, co-creation, and like co-development, because everyone does their own proof of concept, they do their own learning, they have their do's and don'ts, this works, this doesn't, but they don't share it with anyone else. So each corporate invests like 50K, 100K in these proof of concepts, but they're not willing to share it with anyone else. And I think that's really one of the main things that's also holding back blockchain, because at the end of the day, we want to move away from those stupid proof of concepts for production-ready applications, like applications that actually make money and have a business model running on top of it. And the only way to get there is to collaborate. I mean, that's the whole gist of blockchain, right? You don't trust each other, but you share information with each other. And it's the same in the startup environment. Like you can learn so much from a mentor network, from people that have been there, have done that, have lost a lot of money, and you just learn from those people. And like having such an environment is really crucial.
And what's the problem in getting there?
Sorry?
What is the problem in getting there?
Egos.
Egos?
Yeah.
So who are you talking about?
Blockchain is all about egos. It's all
Really?
about financial incentives. Yeah, like seriously.
Okay, tell me more.
Everyone wants to be on the top on the search ranks, right? And so that is why you have to go beyond personalities, you have to go beyond technologies and just like work together.
How do you do that?
We have a non-profit foundation.
So what? So you can share.
The main difficulty is really trying to think objectively, right? I have 100% of my net worth in IOTA, so how can I think objectively? So you really have to start pushing yourself beyond just your ego. And like if you obviously we have to start adopting other technologies. We have to enable this interoperability between these communities, and through that, I definitely think that we can push this forward together. Because at the end of the day, like the pie right now of blockchain is small. Like it's nothing compared to where it can go. Like right now we have like $120 billion market cap in total. Like we're talking about $1 trillion market cap if this truly works out. And the only way to really make this a $1 trillion market cap is to work together.
Okay, but egos stand in the way, right?
Exactly.
So that will continue to be so.
Probably.
So what do you do? What can we do? Who should do what?
Go beyond egos, just like work together no matter what.
Daniel, ego.
Yes.
How big is yours?
Well, I let other people answer that question. No, I mean, yeah. I have some vision and I have some ambition, that's for sure. But I'm not a banker anymore, so I guess that's a step in the right direction. And no, I mean, yeah. I would like to add to this point of education. We had a very good discussion this morning when we discussed our table quest about digital identity and self-sovereign identity, and how people at the moment don't understand what they're actually doing with their personal data by going to big companies like Facebook and Google and sharing all their most personal information publicly through such networks. I think education is also something governments are responsible to continuously do when it comes to educating their citizens, what the risks they're actually taking by doing such things. And so education about technology is one thing, but the education about how these technologies are actually endangering all our lives every day by doing things like going to Facebook and sharing our personal information and photos in the view that this is eventually going to cause some issues with face recognition technology, for instance. These things are also part of an educational program that I would expect from governments that take their citizens serious and educate them on these risks.
Oh, and where's the relation with blockchain? No.
Because we were discussing how self-sovereign identity, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And then obviously the risk involved with owning all the data just ourselves, nobody can actually help you with it because you actually 100% control it, has also risks inherently built into that model, because obviously then nobody can basically come to your protection if you give away your private key to this data, for instance. And so there's a lot of education, both conceptually, and from a blockchain perspective, that needs to take place in order for this to work at some stage in the medium-term future.
What do you think? What do you think is the biggest threat for the blockchain technology? The biggest threat? You.
I think the actual perception that's behind it, because we're constantly talking about technology regarding blockchain. And the thing with blockchain is I think it has some advantages. And now I every time need to explain how the blockchain actually works. Well, for my SQL database, I didn't have to do that. So it's a commodity. So the perception of the people is the biggest danger in that part.
Trust.
Trust.
Trust. Agree? Trust. Biggest threat of blockchain, right?
I think short-sightedness.
Again?
Short-sightedness.
Please explain.
So the biggest problem of blockchain that we have today is every newcomer is entering this space wanting to become a millionaire. Because they invest in those ICOs, they invest in those tokens, thinking like, hey, like the price is going to increase exponentially and I'm going to make so much money out of it. But that's not the point of blockchain, right? Like, we have to look at the next 5 to 10 years, like what the technology can really bring. And what I mean with short-sightedness is that those people really kind of like tamper with the image of blockchain, because now it's seen as an investment vehicle. It can make you rich. But that's really not the gist of it. It goes beyond just like financial incentives and financial.
Who thinks like that?
With things like me?
Yeah, no, like the short-sightedness you described.
Like majority.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, I'm mainly talking about like people that invest in those ICOs, token holders, and so on and so on, which is like the majority of people now. I mean, that was the major influx of new users lately. And I mean, it was in Seoul, I think like 2 days ago or so. Lost track of time. And so I was in Seoul, and like even my taxi driver knew about Bitcoin, was talking about the price, like is the price going to increase? So like telling me like, dude, this talk is insane, like I don't care about the price. And like pushing that agenda is kind of difficult, but you have to do it.
So how do you feel about big corporates exploring the possibilities of blockchain technology?
Yeah, like that.
Is there some short-sightedness?
It depends. So the short-sightedness of corporates is, like I said before, it's not this co-creation, it's not this co-learning. They want to like be at the forefront of innovation because they want to be the ones that gather the knowledge first to market. But that's not the point of it, right? We have to go together to make the technology work and to have this ecosystem where everyone can contribute and flourish.
How could you get? Do you agree with Dominik about short-sightedness? Do you meet anything of that in your work?
So yeah, we see blockchain just as a toolbox of all kinds of with all kinds of IT features to service our needs. So we're not into the ICO thing. So we don't have the financial short-sightedness look at the blockchain. So, but yeah, I mean, what I see in the market, I can agree. But I mean, Dominik is the expert there.
Okay, but short-sightedness is one thing. Trust is another thing. What if something goes wrong? What if blockchain is not as reliable as we think, as we hope?
So then again, you have it like over a large ecosystem with, I think, a lot of different technologies you can use. And actually, to apply that to ourselves, we have built an economy where people are adding value and retracting value. And actually, for us to commit to one blockchain technology, is we're putting a lot at play there.
Yeah, you want the whole world to run on.
We already have like
Yeah.
we already have 1,500 gateways across 50 countries and 25,000 developers. But it's a real working economy.
But what if something goes wrong? What if
Yes,
someone hacks the blockchain?
If somebody hacks, so that's our concern.
Yeah.
So if we apply blockchain technology for a use case we have within our ecosystem, it better be good because, like, it's going to affect a lot of people.
This is trust.
This is trust. But for us, it's a bit different because we already have an economy, and yeah, maybe if you only write a white paper and you do an ICO, there's maybe less at stake with what you see now with like smaller and not so cool tokens as IOTA, of course.
Not so cool.
Wow.
You're a little jealous, aren't you?
Am I jealous? Yeah, I think I am. That's my ego, whereas he was talking about. Yeah, sorry.
Beyond your ego.
Sorry for that.
Look at yourself in about 3, 4, 5 years. Where you want to be?
Well, I'd like a very good running platform, and I'd like to be able to service all kinds of companies and developers to be able to build very nice blockchain applications. And it should be a commodity by then. So with a very big company, obviously, good coworkers, lots of experience, that kind of stuff.
Okay, and then?
And after those
You get
5
bored.
years, no. Because blockchain is one technology, and after blockchain will be another technology, so I will still be interested in technology.
Technology
probably.
after blockchain? Like what?
like more IoT stuff, maybe traveling with some kind of technology, I don't know.
Traveling?
Like traveling to tubes around the world, not flying anymore. So it should be interesting.
Beaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Daniel, maybe in 3 or 4 years or earlier you have the year of the Swiss government. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be good.
Where do you picture yourself in 3, 4, 5 years?
I definitely hope that we have developed a product that can be used in Switzerland, but beyond Switzerland as well, and that we have convinced 1 or 2. We're working with the UN.
We want to have organized elections, e-voting.
Exactly. I was about to say we work with the UN in Geneva to export democracy basically through means like technology to countries where corruption is still a big issue, and so that you can basically do immutable voting, but incorruptible voting in countries like this, where through mechanisms like this, corrupt governments can be replaced by more democratic systems. And that's one very strong vision I have with our company.
Dominik, how old are you in 3 years?
24.
Okay. And how do you picture yourself then?
Yeah, like still the same, I hope. No suits.
What's
No,
wrong?
so-
What is wrong with a suit?
I don't know, they're kind of uncomfortable.
Business-like. How do you picture yourself?
Yeah, so when it comes to IOTA, like we really want to establish the non-profit foundation as an entity in Europe that really has established itself to foster this co-creation and co-development between corporates, and most importantly, that we've truly built a standard for machine-to-machine payments. So we work a lot with hardware manufacturers. So if IOTA gets integrated into the hardware itself, I'll be happy. So then we truly kind of achieved our goal, but like there's always like so many milestones, so many difficulties in that area. But beyond that, I definitely also want to kind of go beyond the blockchain space.
Yeah?
Because I'm very entrepreneurial and just do my own startups.
So
I think-
what do you see after the blockchain?
I don't know, a space that's less crazy, like less volatile. You don't wake up in the morning and think like, fuck.
Like what?
I don't know, like smart fashion sounds kind of nice. IoT is also not that crazy.
You want to
But is it-
retire?
No, like not at all. So my life philosophy is to not get bored. So even if I'm going to be rich as fuck, I don't care. I just want to build something. I don't want to be bored.
Björn, what do you think? Where are you going with parity?
Well, I hope in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we've made a huge step forward in terms of technological development, that we actually can get to a point where we enable all these ecosystem players to build what they're imagining, what they're envisioning all these times, so that most of these crests that we are discussing today can actually be tackled. For example, our text, our one about financial inclusion, right? So that in 5 years, we have a roadmap where we know this is how we get there. This is how we can give this African farmer a financial track record so that he can get a credit maybe from somebody in Germany or the US. And I hope, and I really hope that there's less misinformation spread by then, and not so much about like, hey, you know, retail investors, let's get rich, and then, oh, there was a hack, oh, it's all failed. Like, we can all go back to the drawing board. Blockchain is nothing. Yeah. So just a bit more of, like, real information.
You guys are all so idealistic. What is it? You want to save the world, or you want to rule the world?
Well, that's what the technology promises.
Save
It's
or
not
rule.
it's not only about doing a bit of operational efficiency improvement, right? That's not what it is about. It can fundamentally change the way we interact.
Yep.
So.
I'm a father of 3 children, and I'd like to leave a better world, and I think technology can help with that. So it's a pretty idealistic goal, but it's still very true.
Mieke, where are you going? 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah, so our goal is to build a global coverage of this open network, and that it's for everybody in the world possible to
In
build.
3 years. 3 years.
In 3 years, we should have a very big step that way. Also because it's an open distributed model, so any business can contribute and make a business out of this structure we've created. So I hope that in 3 years we make a big step towards that, and yeah, maybe the satellite plans should be a good step.
Did you already get the names of the satellites? How are you going to name them?
It's actually quite confidential. I didn't know it was going to be mentioned, but you got a scoop here, Dan. So that's no. Well, maybe we can think of something here. The Simpson family or something.
You can do something with the names.
Something like that.
I like you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Give him a warm hand. Thanks. Please.